Okay. Um, Welcome. I am bringing to order the closed session for the Agoura Hills City Council of Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. Welcome to the Agoura Hills City Council closed session. Please silence all cell phones and other electronic devices. If you wish to speak or submit a written comment related to the closed session item on this agenda, please complete and submit a comment card to the city clerk prior to the public comment portion of the meeting. Now I'm calling the meeting officially to order. I'll defer to the city clerk for a roll call.
Good evening. Councilmember Anstead.
Here.
Councilmember Klein Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Wolf.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester.
Here.
Mayor Buckley Weber.
Present.
Mayor Buckley Weber, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Public comments. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items listed on the agenda. If you wish to distribute something to the City Council, please do not approach the council dais. Hand your item to our city clerk, and she will distribute it to us on your behalf. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons addressing the City Council shall not engage in disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. I will now defer to the city clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Buckley Weber. No written public comments have been received and no speaker cards have been submitted.
Thank you. We will now recess into closed session. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Agoura Hills City Council meeting of Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. Please silence all cell phones and other electronic devices. And if you wish to speak or submit a written comment, please complete a comment card for each item and submit to the city clerk prior to the public comment portion of the item. I will now bring tonight's meeting to order. The City of Agoura Hills acknowledges that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Chumash Nation. Descendants of Chumash still remain, and we honor and pay our respects to their elders and various groups that make up the past, present, and emerging as they continue their stewardship of our lands and waters. We have a responsibility and commitment to elevate the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of the City of Agoura Hills, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these ancestral lands. I'm now going to defer to Councilmember Wolf. Why don't you lead us in the flag salute?
Thank you. If you're able to, will you please stand, place your right hand over your heart, and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to defer to our city clerk for a roll call.
Good evening, Madam Mayor.
Good evening.
Councilmember Anstead.
Here.
Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Wolf.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester.
Here.
Mayor Buckley Weber.
Here.
Mayor Buckley Weber, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We have no present. Now I'm going to move on to the report of closed session. And I'll
Yes.
defer to our city attorney, Candace Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. Direction was given to staff this evening. No reportable action was taken. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I'm going to ask a council member, I need a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda.
This is Deborah
As
Klein-Lopez.
amended, it says.
I will,
Oh, I know, because there was a problem with the page numbers on one of the items. So as amended
Okay.
is what,
I will make a motion to approve tonight's agenda as amended.
thank you. Second?
City Councilman Chris Anstead seconds.
Thank you. And I'll defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Anstead.
Aye.
Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester.
Aye.
Mayor Buckley Weber.
Aye.
Mayor Buckley Weber, you have approval 5-0.
Thank you. We have no presentations tonight, so we will move on to intergovernmental, special purpose committee, and departmental reports. And we'll start tonight with an introduction of the new Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area Superintendent, Jody Lyle. Jody, will you please come up and introduce yourself?
Good evening. Thank you so much for inviting me here tonight. Again, my name's Jody Lyle, and I am the newly appointed superintendent of Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area. I think I just am finishing my third week of work in the new position, so I have officially started. I know many of you already, and that's because I've been working at Santa Monica as the deputy superintendent for the last 4 years. But when David Zemansky became the regional director for the National Park Service in the Pacific West region, he left the superintendent position, and I applied. And so I'm really pleased. I'm excited for this new opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to working with all of the rec area's partners, especially folks like you. The council and the city staff of Agoura Hills are a very important partner for us, and we appreciate all of the work that we do together.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Jody?
I would just like to say we're so happy that you were appointed, and we're really looking forward to working with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to welcome you in this position. And I think the Santa Monica Mountains NPS is the most visited, or it's the biggest urban park in the nation.
We're the biggest urban national park, yeah.
And that's incredible. And the fact that you guys lead the mountain lion study and the amazing work you do, and we are the gateway to the Santa Monica Mountains, so we're so excited to work with you, and congratulations on this this new position.
Thank you. Yeah, we have an incredible staff, as you know. A lot of great research and science goes on in the park, and yeah, there's just so many things to look forward to in the coming years. And we all know that we're working together already on the wildlife crossing, and so there's just so much to look forward to. And for me, I was born and raised in Southern California, and despite the fact that I have moved around quite a bit in my National Park Service career, this is my 8th park assignment in 31 years, and it feels really nice to be back home in California and around family, and this is a very special place.
Thank you. Councilmember Klein Lopez, you have a question or a comment?
Just a comment. I just want to say welcome, ditto, to what my colleagues have said. And you used the word that I was going to describe. You used the word home. And, you know, Agoura Hills is known as the gateway to the Santa Monica Mountains, and we very much consider the mountain range and environment our home. And so I love that even before I was going to say that, you already used the word, because I can tell that you also feel that this is home, and that means the world to us. So welcome, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And I just have a question for you, but do you know whether or not there's ever been a woman superintendent of the Santa Monica Mountains Recreation Area before you?
No, I am the first.
Bravo! Well, congratulations. That's
Thank you.
very exciting.
Thank you.
We're happy about that.
And before I step away, I just wanted to tell you guys about one exciting thing that's going on at the King Gillette Visitor Center for the next couple of months. In case you hadn't heard, we just hung a new temporary exhibit that'll be there through September 22nd. And it's a really lovely exhibit of wildlife photos taken from our wildlife cameras that are set up around the park. That was part of the Woolsey Fire Recovery Project. And so we've been, studying the habitat restoration and resurgence and how wildlife are using the areas of the burn. And so we've captured a lot of amazing wildlife imagery, and we've put it together in an exhibit. So that's there to see. So if you have time before September 22nd, stop by and take a look.
Thank you. That sounds great.
And
I'll
could you
sure
just,
stop by.
for the public, could you tell us the hours?
Oh, the visitor center at King Gillette Ranch is open, let's see, it's closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, so open Wednesday through Sunday from 9 to 4:30.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And congratulations again.
Okay.
And we can look forward to continuing all of our great projects together.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Next, we have a Reyes Adobe Days update. Woohoo! I assume that's Nick.
It is.
Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, fellow City Council members. We do bring to you a update and detail unveiling of the 20th annual Reyes Adobe Days. As we mentioned at previous meetings, this year's theme is going to be celebrating 20 years of arts and culture at the Adobe. So we are thrilled to be bringing this event to you in October. Our robust Reyes Adobe Days Executive Committee, with several very involved community members, are hard at work putting the final details on at this point for the 4-day festival in the end of September, beginning of October, led by our Older American of the Year, Randy Paller, who is our RAD chair. And we will be meeting again next week, and then probably at least one more time to finish up the planning for the event for this year. As I mentioned at our previous meeting, our previous update, we do have a wonderful and very exciting Grand Marshal this year. Jerry O'Connell has agreed to be our Grand Marshal for the Reyes Adobe Days Parade to be held on Saturday, October 5th, starting at 10 o'clock. He will also be present at the Friday night event, the Night at the Adobe. For those of you who don't know, Jerry O'Connell is a 2-time Daytime Emmy Award winner for The Talk. He was in Stand By Me. He was in several television shows. My favorite was The Older Brother in Big Bang Theory. So we're excited to have Jerry O'Connell with us. On to some of the details. As I mentioned, we do start the event on Thursday, September 26th with our RAD Fiesta, which is open to all ages up at the Agoura Hills Recreation Event Center from 11 to 1. Catered event, there is a costume contest, and we invite everyone of all ages to join us. And then we move to the next weekend, starting on Friday, October 4th, will be our Night at the Adobe event, kind of the official unveiling of the park and the weekend. 6 to 9 o'clock on that Friday night. Pre-registration is $15 and $20 at the door. The beer tasting, wine tasting, hors d'oeuvres, the artisans will all be there. The Adobe is beautiful and lit up. It's really a beautiful night, and we hope you all can join us. And then we get up bright and early Saturday, October 5th with our new RAD 5K run. It is beginning and ending at the Wizen Center, and it is an official 5K. It is a previously certified 5K, and they are calling it Fast and Flat. So for all you people that are trying to do time trials, that's what they're pushing, so we get some more good registration and some fast runners. We immediately flip over to the Reyes Adobe Days Parade, which officially begins at the corner of Reyes Adobe Road and Lake Lindero with our Grand Marshal. It is just under a mile, beginning at the Lake Lindero Reyes Adobe Road and then finishing at the Reyes Adobe Historical Site. In previous years, we've had probably upwards of 500 people in the parade, so it is a wonderful event, and if you're interested in signing up, we encourage that. It all filters into the Reyes Adobe Days Day in the Park from 11 to 4, both Saturday and Sunday. Live entertainment, food trucks, local artisans, all the children's activities, the hands-on activities, the beer garden by Malibu Brewing, just some of the entertainment that we have. We're featuring the Tokens, and then backed by popular demand will be our Kids Imagination Group on Sunday morning. That's a very popular thing. We'll have our drum circle, and we'll be finishing the weekend on Sunday with Wanted, a tribute to Bon Jovi. And then moving on to Sunday, no rest for the weary, we have our 3 rides, bike rides throughout the city and into Westlake. There is a 40K, a 40-miler, and a 4.0-mile family ride, all rules of the road, but we encourage everyone to sign up for that. And then we have another full day of activities with the beer garden, all the hands-on activities, tours of the Adobe, artisans will all be there, and we hope you can all join us for those events. We couldn't do this event without some wonderful sponsors, just a couple of our co-sponsors, Secon Dental, who are also a sponsor of one of the summer concerts in the park, and some of our old friends, Berman and Paller, who have been sponsors for I don't even know how long. So we thank you guys for all the sponsors, and specifically these two for being wonderful sponsors for this year's Reyes Adobe Days event. ReyesAdobeDays.org is up and running. All of the information I just said, and along with a whole host of others, is all on the ReyesAdobeDays.org website. You can purchase tickets. You can sign up for the RAD Ride and the RAD Run. There's shuttle information. There's a list of all of our artisans, the entertainment schedule. You can sign up for the parade. You name it, chances are it's on the website. So visit the website, and you can see everything we have to offer for this year's Reyes Adobe Days. So the 20th annual Reyes Adobe Days to be held the weekend of October 4th through the 6th. We have lots of stuff, and we hope to see you all there.
Thank you, Nick. We'll be there. It's a great weekend. So thank you for all the planning that goes into it. Next, we're going to talk about One City, One Book update, defer to community services. And is that you, Amy?
That is me. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. Tonight we are here to present to you the One City, One Book Agoura Hills Reads author for 2024. But before I do that, as always, you know that I like to take a moment and thank our One City, One Book committee. Mayor Elise Buckley-Weber, I will say, was very actively involved in the decision of selecting the book this year. We thank her for her involvement. Nina Hull, our amazing library manager, and Katie Magaha, both from the library, Judy Carta and Joan Yakovone, friends of the library, friends of the Agoura Hills Library Board of Directors, Tina Johnson with LVUSD, Randy Paller, as Nick just mentioned, our RAD event chair, and Karen Kent, our Cultural Arts Council member. This is an amazing group of people. I love working with them. They're so supportive and so energetic, and absolutely have a passion for literature. So I want to give them a big shout out for what they did this year. They worked hard, right, Mayor Buckley-Weber? The City of Agoura Hills, along with the Agoura Hills Library, Friends of the Agoura Hills Library, and Cultural Arts Council proudly present the One City, One Book 2024 selection. Is Lisa C. She just recently released back in 2023 her next novel, Lady Tan's Circle of Women. She's a New York Times bestselling author. She has a long list of best-selling books that hit the New York Times. Some of you might know her by The Snowflower and the Secret Fan, Shanghai Girls, all very popular books. We're thrilled. I believe she's a Southern California native, so we're thrilled to have her. She's also been the recipient of a couple of amazing awards, and she was named the National Woman of the Year by the Organization of Chinese American Women. Lisa C. So as you know, we love to host an evening with the author. We will be hosting an evening with Lisa C. on Wednesday, October 30th at 6 o'clock up at the Agoura Hills Recreation and Event Center. There will be a moderated discussion with her, and then we always hold the author back a little bit to do a book signing, so she'll be there signing books. We will be opening the registration in the beginning of September. It's not live yet. People are asking when we're going to open it. We'll release the date, but we won't be opening it at least until the first week in September. If you want more information, we encourage you to visit our website at agourahillsrec.org. The other event that takes place in the fall is Read with the Mayor with Mayor Buckley Weber. We are going to be bringing a group of students from an Agoura Hills school over here to the Civic Center to meet with the mayor. She'll read a book. I haven't confirmed the details yet, but we have a little bit of a surprise. We may have a local young adult author. So we're hoping that we usually invite the kindergartners, first and second graders to come over, but I have a feeling that Mayor Buckley Weber is going to be meeting with a group of fourth, fifth, maybe sixth graders. So it should be actually a really fun day. We're looking forward to that. So with that, I would like to pause for a moment and also thank the Friends of Agoura Hills Library. They have been a silent supporter for years. I just attended their board of directors meeting the other night, and they love the One City, One Book program. They feel fortunate to have the Agoura Hills Library and to be involved in our programs here in Agoura Hills. The bookseller downstairs is an amazing little venue. It's a powerhouse down there. And I want to thank them for their continued support, their over-the-moon enthusiasm and dedication to this event. And I will say that they are financially contributing and supporting this event. So we're very thankful. I want to publicly thank them, and hopefully we can bring them to a future council meeting so that you guys can meet the board. They're amazing. They're hardworking, and I want to thank them. And with that, I'll open it up for any questions or comments.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? I almost let the cat out of the bag. I saw on Facebook yesterday somebody was saying they were reading Lisa C.'s new book, and I was like, oh, I better wait.
Now you can. Now you can.
I just want to say that there's nothing more fun than going to the One City, One Book committee meetings. Those women are amazing. They're such readers that it's really fun to be sitting in the room with them and talking about, like, every author that we talked about, most of them had read all of the works by the authors, and so it's very, very impressive, and I love this program. You all know that. So,
and I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but there's a rumor that Mr. Adeva there may be a podcast in our future with our authors. So
that would be awesome.
We'll hold those details for later.
Yeah. So I gave the committee a pretty tall order, if I can say, and I said, since it's our year of inclusion and celebrating different cultures, I kind of was like, can you find me? I need an author from a different cultures, and even though Lisa C. has grown up here, she had, I believe it's a Chinese father of Chinese descent, and she's written a lot about most of her stories that I've read. There's a strong influence from China, and so I'm really excited to be having her come, and she's very well known, so it should be a lot of fun. So I hope you'll all be able to come. Thank you, Amy. That's going to be very exciting. Are there any reports from staff? Seeing none. Are there any reports from the City Council for Intergovernmental Special Purpose Committee and departmental reports? Seeing none. I will move on to public comments. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items not listed on the agenda that are under the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. If you have something to distribute to the City Council, please do not approach the dais. Hand your item to the City Clerk, and she will distribute to us on your behalf. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons addressing the City Council shall not engage in disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. I will now defer to the City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Buckley Weber. No written public comments have been received. However, we have received one speaker card.
Great.
Our first speaker will be Elizabeth Panagua.
Come on up, and this is for a matter not on the agenda. Wonderful. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor, council, staff. I just wanted to take this opportunity to formally introduce myself to each of you. My name's Elizabeth Banyawa. I am the new Public Affairs Manager for Southern California Gas Company here in Ventura County. So I wanted just to take this opportunity to, so you have a face to the name. I look forward to working with each of you and staff. I've also wanted to take the opportunity to remind your residents about some of our programs, and we do put those periodically into our statements, but we do have discount programs for the community. We have a 20% discount that is an income-based for families. We also have a energy audit program that is also income-based, as well as a 20% discount that families could qualify for medical conditions. So if there's anybody in the family that requires natural gas for their well-being, they can get a certified letter from their doctor, and the discount is automatically given without any income qualification. So I wanted to make sure the community knows of those programs because we do want to promote those a little more. And I'll be sending my contact information to each of you. Feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to come down and meet with you one-on-one. I'm local here in Ventura County, so I'm available anytime, answer any questions about our services or projects going on. And I just thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself, and I look forward to working with the City of Agoura. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in tonight. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Member Lopez?
Do you have a senior discounts at all? Okay, income. Okay.
The medical.
Okay, great. And when you send us your contact information, can you send us links to those programs? Because we're
yes.
Happy to,
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll get some electronic versions of them. Yeah, and any residents also welcome to call. We have a toll-free numbers that's in your billing statement, and we do have multiple languages, customer service over, I think, 5 to 8 different languages available through our customer service reps. So,
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Okay, so next we move on to the council consent calendar. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items on the consent calendar. I wanted to let everybody know that we are going to be pulling item number 8, and we'll start with you, Councilmember Anstead. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, just on item number 8, that I wanted to make sure that I did not vote on that item because I had abstained from the discussion concerning that item. So
okay,
I will continue to abstain.
And I think you'll be leaving the room. Is that right?
Sure.
That's probably the best way to go.
And
Thank you.
Also, for the record, I believe that's because you received a political contribution to his campaign from the applicant. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll pull number 8. So let's take a look. Are there any questions from the City Council on the consent calendar? Seeing none, I'll now call for a...
We're only pulling it so he could abstain. It's not, there's no intention to have a discussion on it. It's so that he could leave the dais that they could vote on it. Yes, thank you.
Okay. I'll now call for a motion a second to adopt items 1 through 7 on the consent calendar.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester so moves.
City Councilman Chris Hansen seconds.
Okay, great. Thank you. And now I'll defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Anstead?
Aye.
Councilmember Klein Lopez?
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester?
Aye.
Mayor Buckley Weber?
Aye.
Mayor Buckley Weber, you have approval 5-0.
Thank you very much. And now, Mr. Anstead, he's going to step out of the room for a moment, and we're going to take a look at number 8, which is on the consent calendar, and that's to adopt resolution number 24-2079, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Agoura Hills, California, approving conditional use permit case number CUP 2023-0026 to allow a Type 47 license for on-site consumption of alcohol beverages at an existing restaurant and to revise the facility's permitted hours of operation and making a determination of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act. And we will defer now to our Community Development Director. Are you
Staff doesn't have any presentation.
Staff no report. Okay. So then we have that. So I just wanted to make a statement before we vote on this. A couple of members of the community asked me how we could give cronies a break after what they did during COVID. My response to them and for any residents watching is as follows. In the United States of America, we are constitutionally bound by due process of law. Due process of law is based on the concept of fundamental fairness and is to protect all of us from unfairness. The government must follow rules and procedures that have been established when it is, the government is us, must follow rules and procedures that have been established when it is acting in a way that could deprive a citizen of life, liberty, or property. Procedural due process requires that the government must give the person notice, must give the person the opportunity to be heard, and that a decision will be made by a neutral decision maker. Mr. Folds and his establishment, Crony Sportsgill, broke the law during COVID by violating the LA County's public health order banning restaurant dining, which raised havoc in our community. Post-COVID, he resolved his conflict with LA County and paid his fines. Whether you agree or disagree with the punishment imposed on cronies by LA County is up to each and every one of you. But this council, as dictated by the U.S. Constitution, was bound to afford cronies an opportunity to be heard on a completely unrelated matter, that being the change from a beer and wine alcohol license to a beer, wine, and spirits alcohol license. We were required to afford Mr. Folds the right of neutral decision makers, and we could not hold it against him for threatening our council and the families of our staff during the COVID pandemic. Nor could we hold it against Mr. Folds for disparaging our entire city on national radio to Glenn Beck. We were required to look past those threats and his actions to give him a fair and unbiased hearing, which we have done. I'm proud of this council for affording cronies the opportunity to be heard, for reviewing the evidence, and remaining neutral as decision makers. Regardless of how each of us voted, we followed the law, and I thank all of you for it. With that, we will now I'll defer to the city clerk for a vote on item number 8. Oh, need a motion and a second on item number 8 of the consent calendar, which is to adopt resolution number 24-2879.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester so moves.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. And now I'll defer to the city clerk for a vote.
Councilmember Klein Lopez,
No.
Councilmember Wolf,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester,
Aye.
Mayor Buckley Weber.
Aye.
Mayor Buckley Weber, you have approval 3-1 with Councilmember Anstead abstaining.
Thank you. And I want to note for the record, because mine has a crossed out in it, it's resolution number 24-2079. So thank you for that. And that passes. So we will now move on to a discussion action. Our next item is a...
Can we bring back council member?
Oh, yes, please, bring back Mr. Anderson. Thank you, Denise. We don't want him to miss out on this. Welcome back. It's a good thing the Mayor Pro Tem is here. I would have left you in there. I was moving on without you. Okay, our next item is a discussion to consider proposed placement of a Los Angeles County Charter amendment on the November 2024 general election ballot. I'll now defer to City Manager Hamburger for the staff presentation.
Madam Mayor and council members, thank you. And the item that is before you is being presented to the City Council so that we can provide feedback and direction to staff, and as our Las Virgenes Municipal COG representative, Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester, as this item is anticipated to come before the COG at some point, and in order for us, your representative to take action, we need to have a discussion at the council level. As a brief background, the proposed charter amendment to Los Angeles County is before the Board of Supervisors. It's been presented twice at 2 separate board meetings and is scheduled to come back for final consideration at the meeting of August 9th. And this will be added, if approved, would be added to the November 2024 general election ballot. The changes proposed consist of several components, but the most notable are the expansion of the Board of Supervisors from 5 to 9 members, a new countywide elected executive officer, an establishment of a county ethics commission, and the requirement that all business items appear on a posted agenda at least 120 hours before a regular board meeting. And so with that, we do have representatives from Los Angeles County with us, Sofia Sandia, and I think it's Julia's with us as well. Thank you for coming out tonight. And so if there's any questions that they can answer or that staff can answer, we'd be glad to do that. What I would ask for the recommendation is that you provide your feedback in any direction to staff. If you'd like a letter of support or against, opposition, whatever it may be, if you can provide us that feedback, we'll put that together based on all of the feedback that we'll receive because the item does still have to go back to the County Board of Supervisors. And one final note, because it has to go back, we don't anticipate any changes to the proposed ordinance before the Board of Supervisors. But if there is anything, we will bring that back and update the council on that as well. So with that, I'll conclude my report and turn it over to the council for any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? And as Mr. Hamburger said, we have representatives from the supervisor's office to answer questions.
Councilmember Wolf, I just have a question. What's the timeline of, is it going back to the board before it's going to, when is the board hearing before it goes to the voters?
Welcome.
Hi, my name is Julia Orozco. I work for Supervisor Horvath. Thank you for welcoming us today. To answer your question, there's a little bit of a correction. The original motion was heard on July 9th. Okay, we've had the first reading and the second reading of the ordinance already. Therefore, the filing happened August 9th, and it will be on the ballot this November, just so that everyone's awareness. It's just moved so fast, yeah.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Councilmember Klein-Lopez?
You know, I listened to the July 9th meeting for many, many hours, so a lot of my questions were answered. Would you be able just to tell all of us and the public why these three things are in one proposition, one proposal, rather than splitting it out into three? I know people have different opinions about each of the three items, so if you can just explain a little bit of that, I think it'll help.
Sure. Oh, not a problem. Well, as many of you may have heard during the board meeting, there was a lot of deliberation about how and why and how many times this has been done and how the public has felt about it in the past. We conducted a lot of research ahead of putting this on, the agenda for the Board of Supervisors. And just since 1970s, it's appeared on the ballot a minimum of like 6 times where it's been discussed and proposed. Sometimes it did not make it to the ballot. Just in the last 20 years, in '92, the county executive and the expansion of the board made it to the ballot, and in 2000, only expansion made it to the ballot. But however, each time, ordinances were prepared for the consideration of the board. So, to the question you're asking in terms of an entire package, what's unique this time is that every other time, ethics, public budget hearings were not part of that, and therefore Supervisor Horvath and Supervisor Hahn felt strongly that this should be presented to the voters as an entire package. And also, with November as being called by many the reform ballot, there are more than one in the county. I want to, don't quote me, but I want to say Torrance, Signal Hill, LA City obviously have reform on their ballots, and we thought it was the time is now to be able to, be more comprehensive and take advantage of this discussion that's occurring countywide about governance.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone questions over here? Councilmember Anstead?
Yes. Thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate it. Some of the kind of the specifics, because it sounds like a great idea, and I read through everything. I'm just trying to understand on going back to the cost issue. I know that's so we would be adding 4 supervisors plus all their staff and all the additional the normal monies that go along with that.
Yes.
And the CEO position. Can you tell me, is there a cut on something that's proposed to pay for it, or would this be just an additional monies that would be taken out of the budget for these individuals
Well,
and their staffs?
Yes, I thank you for that question. As you know, we have a over $46 billion budget at this time in the county-wide. And there are those are very good questions that have come up. Now, because this was expedited to be on the ballot, we created a public input process. And based on some preliminary research that we've done, we feel that even we'll use ethics as an example. There are elements that speak to ethics in different parts of the county government. So there's pieces of it at Red Recorder, there are pieces of it at the executive office, there's pieces of it at the executive office of the Board of Supervisors. There's also pieces of it over at the Auditor Controller. So there's an opportunity there to streamline and take advantage of things that already exist. It's more of an alignment of services. Now, when it comes to the creation of the new offices, we have a lot of commissions. We have over 200 right now. Now, it's been a long time since there's been an evaluation on whether or not some of them should continue, whether we can, and all of those have staff as well. In terms of the public input process that will be created for the implementation, it's going to be this space where folks, whether they're elected or members of the public, can come and share their opinions and the possibilities of what can happen. So one possibility, because remember there's so many options, right? It could be decided, we think that the staff that they currently have is barely enough for 1 million residents. We think all the supervisors should have 4 more, should have the same thing that they currently have. That's one possibility. The one that the supervisor has talked about is if she's cutting her representation in half, then basically she is no longer in need of half of the field offices and the staff that she currently has, which could get allocated to new supervisors. So that's another way of doing some cost savings as well. And when you're looking at, for example, the Director of Budget and Management, the County Legislative Analyst's Office, again, there are services within, like for example, the Chief Executive Office of LA County that could be repurposed. And they already have a budget. They already have a budget office. They already have asset management. And so it's a matter of generally creating, they could be reorganized to support the county executive, which would be like a county mayor, basically.
And that's the second, that goes along, you led right into where I was going next, is the CEO position. What additional powers does the commission envision that CEO will have? Will he or she have, in other words, veto power over the 9, or will it just be an implementation CEO where he or she will be implementing what the county board wants? Or can you tell me kind of what the vision was of that CEO role?
The vision is to have some accountability at the county, one place that's accountable. Now, we also understand that because of the size and the magnitude of the county, we wanted to create checks and balances. So, so people sometimes have been asking us questions, afraid of, maybe some kind of like all-powerful czar or something. But I'll give you some examples. First, I want to say that we've sent our county council's analysis of the actual charter. It's a shorter version of having to actually read the entire ordinance, so that I'm sure that will get distributed. And you will see when you read it, there's checks and balances for everything. So I'll take hiring and firing department heads as an example. Currently, obviously they're hired and fired by the Board of Supervisors. Well, in the new governance, if the voters agree that it should change, it would be the county executive with confirmation by the board. Now the recourse, because we don't want this person just unilaterally making decisions in terms of, without consideration and without a check and balance. And so therefore, if for whatever reason the board, now remember by this time it'll probably be 9 by then, feels strongly that for whatever reason, we don't agree, or we think this just retaliation, or whatever the case is, there's the ability to reinstate by a 2/3 vote. So again, it goes in that direction on everything. Yes, they'll have veto power, but however, the board will continue to have the power to override by a 2/3 vote.
And what was the impetus for I understand the impetus for 4 additional people on the board, but what's the impetus for the CEO role? Is it because of the past history with the board that they feel like there wasn't really somebody that could implement some of the things that they wanted to do, or tell me what they're feeling?
I think, okay, truth be told, I'm actually a county employee of 25 years. So I've gotten to witness a lot of what Supervisor Horvath has observed over the last year and a half for that long. And so what happens is there's a lot of good intentions. Then there's budget realities, political differences, and various challenges that make implementation challenging. So one good recent example would be the closure of Men's Central Jail and what happens next. At one point, it was assigned to a county department, right? Our Justice and Community Opportunities Department, JCOD, and they were supposed to lead on that issue, but they don't have authority over other departments. And so that was a challenge, and the needle did not move. And so what we're seeking here is a position. Another good example is what recently happened with our governor visiting LA County, and he touting the mayor's ability to move the needle, even though, by the way, she did it with county support because we provide the services. But the point is, she's able to move the needle. A mayor is able to move the needle on things. And so with county, dealing with such large community issues, that are regional, we want to be able to overcome the natural tendency. And it's not an indictment of the board or anything like that. It's just there's a natural tendency to look out for your district. I think every elected can understand that. But when we're dealing with the issues of the time, like homelessness, like crime and these type of things, and the size of LA County being the size of basically most, like over 40 states, we really do need an executive in charge at the helm to really get the needle moving on these massive issues.
Thank you. That was a great explanation.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime.
Thank you so much. Mayor Pro Tem, questions?
No, I think they've all been asked. Thank you.
Great. The only question I have is if you can just walk me through so I understand it. When I read it, I didn't see that there was term limits for the CEO, the elected CEO, and I understand that has to be done by the state. Is that right?
Yes. So let me go back to the county executive. We keep saying county executive because I think there's some confusion right now with even in the county with our county folks. They're like, even our own CEO, when she initially heard, said, "I guess I'll run," which she can. It's open to the public; people can run, but it's a county executive. Because we don't want it to be confused with we're replacing, because a lot of people equate it to us replacing our CEO, which is like a city manager, with an elected city manager. So we're not doing that. Now, in terms of your question about term limits, our initial draft motion had term limits in there, 4 years matching the board. But what we found, our county council, as I'm sure your city attorney many times advises in terms of state law versus local law, term limits for county-wide positions are determined by the state constitution. And therefore, when the board attempted to impose term limits on other countywide offices, this is when the term limits were imposed on them, Sheriff Baca sued and prevailed. Therefore, the commitment Supervisor Horvath has made is as we get additional input, I think she's already said that we want to seek a legislative remedy for that because we understand that many people might be uncomfortable with that, and during the implementation, we have a runway. We're barely ending 2024. The election of the county executive, if this measure passes, happens in 2028. Therefore, there's plenty of time to seek legal remedies as we get additional input. If we hear from most that, this is something we're not comfortable with, we can absolutely seek a legislative remedy for that.
Great. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Seeing none. Okay, then can I get some input? Thank you. Let's see. The staff they want to know 2 things, whether or not, let's see, how do I want to say this? We want the staff respectfully recommends that the city council provide feedback and direction to the staff as well as to the Mayor Pro Tem, Sylvester, so that she can report back to the COG when it comes before her. So those two things. Let's start deliberations. Why don't we start down here? Councilmember Wolf.
Thank you. I'm comfortable recommending moving forward to approve this on both items. It was said during the comments that LA County, we have a population of almost 10 million, which there are only 10 states in the United States that have more people than Los Angeles County. If Los Angeles County, we know the statistic that California would be the 4th or 5th largest economy in the world if it was its own state. LA County would be the 19th largest economy in the entire world, ahead of Saudi Arabia and Switzerland, which is just incredible. Each supervisor represents 2 million people. The charter was created, I think, in 1912. Is that correct? And then the other thing about the county is, what does the libraries and jails, beaches and harbors and animal shelters, mental health and firefighters, I mean, our critical services are through Los Angeles County, and it's one of the most dynamic, largest, I think it is the largest county in the nation. So I fully support this, and I appreciate the supervisor bringing this forward to expand the board and taking away power. I think that's very telling that she's willing to do this, moving it. And I know that there's been concern about why are we choosing 9? Why are we choosing now? I think now is a great time to get the ball rolling. I think 9. I think that's a great number. I think that 2 million residents per each supervisor is outrageous. I think Councilmember Anstead, you brought up a really good point regarding the funding. But it was interesting to hear your response that, well, we won't need quite as much staff for each supervisor. And with the 19th largest economy in the world, I think that we can shuffle some of the funding to find it for staffing. So I appreciate the supervisor bringing this forward. I appreciate the staff being here tonight. I appreciate Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester bringing this forward on behalf of the COG, and I enthusiastically support it and look forward to I hope to move forward on both of these items.
Thank you. Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Thank you. The first thing I want to say is thank you very much for your 25 plus years of service to our county. That's really remarkable, and I think you probably never get enough thank yous for all of the work you've given residents like us. So I just want to say thank you, whether you're newer or have been around. Thank you for your service. I am also in support of this motion. Like I said, I listened in on the agenda item on July 9th, and it was very long agenda item. It was hours long. So I heard all of the pros and the cons and was very impressed actually at the thoroughness of what we do know now and what we need to know before these changes would take place should the voters approve the item on the ballot. So many of you know that I work for the state legislature in my day job, and so we work very closely with the county. And when you say that to be able to have to provide services and critical services to 2 million people each is a stretch. It is a stretch. I mean, the staff works to the bone. The supervisors work day and night. And so I don't see this as expanding government. I see it as quite the opposite. I see it as constituents and governments having more access to their elected leaders and their county staff. And so I don't see it as an expansion. I see it as tightening it up and making it smaller and making everything more accessible to us, which is, I think, in a dire need. You all do a great job, and you're under immense pressure to do so with that kind of constituency. And I've done a lot of reading on this, and there is nothing like this anywhere in the nation. There's no board that has 2 million people like this. San Francisco has 11, Chicago has 17, so this is not an unprecedented move. This is actually in line with what works in other parts of the state and in other parts of the nation. And I want to say, I think, in addition to what I was saying about these critical services, sheriff, fire, social services, these safety net services, I want to say it's especially meaningful for those who live in unincorporated areas. We live right next door to an unincorporated area of Agoura. It's not Agoura Hills. Their postal address is Agoura Hills, but it's Cornell, Agoura, Triunfo, Lobo Canyon, all of that. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard, we wish we had a council, we wish we had easier access, not because they can't get in touch with you, but it's just that much harder to get permitting and just everyday things done when you're in an unincorporated area. So even though we don't represent across the border, I want to say that I hear it, and I think that it's, a move like this would be especially meaningful for those in the unincorporated areas. And I'm happy to see that it would take place after redistricting, which is in itself an entirely crazy, thorough process. And so, I'm comfortable with some of these unanswered questions that we're not quite there yet. We have the time and the process to get there. Regarding the public CEO, one of the things that really struck me in reading all about this is that right now the board has executive power, legislative power, and quasi-judicial power. So to your point, checks and balances are much needed. The board right now administers local functions and enacts ordinances and are the final decision makers in administrative and public hearings. So I'm very, very much in favor of making sure that there are those checks and balances among those different functions of our government so that they don't go awry. And again, comparing that to the United States, having an elected chief is a very common occurrence of counties of not even close to this size. And then finally, ethics, like you were saying, you've been around a long time, you've seen your fair share of things pass through, I'm sure, but it's plagued Los Angeles. County, city, corruption, scandals, and as someone who works in government, and I know everyone up here will understand this, we are in government because we believe government can do good things and help people. And so when we see people abusing the system, it undermines people's trust in government, and we're all here because we want people to trust government, and so I believe the ethics reform will help restore that trust. So I want to thank Supervisor Horvath and Supervisor Hahn for really pushing this, for taking the temperature of the county right now, because I think they're right. I think it is a reform moment, and so I know it's been a fast rush to the ballot, but I think they're absolutely right in wanting to take advantage of this current right now and finally getting some much needed reform that's been studied and recommended for many years. So thank you for coming. Thank you to the supervisors, and I'm in full support of the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Anstead.
First, again, I want to thank you for answering my questions that I had concerning the measures. And I think that based on your answers, and I'm comfortable with both the expansion of the board and the CEO position. I think a couple of reasons why. Number one, I think the CEO position is a good thing to have accountability, to have one person that the county and that residents can kind of rely on, that's implementing a lot of the policies of the board and can count on. And so I like the concept and the idea. And then also expanding to 9 seems reasonable for the population center that's discussed before. And so I think it's a great idea. But again, you've already expressed it about the fact that I just hope that we don't duplicate positions that are already there, and that we do, if in fact the positions are getting cut in half, the territories, then also the staff goes with the new person that's getting elected in that area. And so I just always think that that's something that we want to keep tabs with, and that the public expects us to be efficient in doing with their funds. And so I think for all those reasons, I'm ready to support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I too would like to thank you both for being here this evening. I think for our general public, it's probably a bit overwhelming, and there's sort of reams of paperwork that they can go through, and they will have time before November to do that. But I think the most important thing to take away from this is that this is a request coming from the supervisors who've been there, know what's involved, know what's working and what isn't working, and they are trying to fulfill all the needs of us, the general public. And I really appreciate that they've taken the time to come up with these new plans for these reforms, and I would like to support them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I don't have a whole lot to add other than what my other council members have said. I'm 100% behind expanding the board. I too see it as an opportunity to, and this is no criticism of any of our supervisors, because we had a great relationship with Supervisor Yaroslavsky, a great relationship with Supervisor Kuehl, and a great relationship with Supervisor Horvath. It's just insane that they represent 2 million people. It's just too much. You know, it needs to be spread out. Again, I'm not sitting here saying that our needs haven't been met, but I think that there's a lot of other bigger communities, and it's such a diverse city that having 9 supervisors, and whether or not they go to more in 20 years, you know, they can look at that. But right now, I think 9's a good number, and we'll be able to see how that goes. I think it was very, very bold of Supervisor Horvath and Supervisor Hahn to even bring this forward. I could see how something like this could just keep, you know, these are awkward situations, and you're taking power away from people, and it could just keep getting pushed to the back burner. There's so much work for each of them to do that I could see that this needed to be kind of pushed out there. The redistricting, which we can all be part of when that happens, you know, we can be looking at not only diversity by race and religion and economics, but also by area. So the Santa Monica Mountains and the coastal communities might be one supervisor. And so when you think of it like that, we're out here with the Santa Monica Mountains, and we have the same supervisor who's representing a very, very urban area in the city. I just don't know how it's almost impossible to juggle all the needs. Again, it's really impressive that they can even do that. I also think that, you know, as the future goes on, you know, you might lose some good people from running for the supervisor's seat, because it's so much work. And it's just mind-boggling. And I know I see they all do it, but I follow them on, you know, Instagram, and like every day, they're meeting with constituents, you know, here, there, everywhere, 4 or 5 groups, and every weekend, and that's just really draining. And I thank them for their service, and I come with Councilmember Klein-Pose. I thank you for your service, for running around like crazy people, you know, just all over the county. It's really remarkable that they've had such great people. With that said, the ethics and transparency are so important, and you know, all of us who read the Los Angeles Times know that you pick up the paper almost every single day or read it online, and there's some accusations of fraud or corruption or inappropriate behavior, and it's just nonstop. And so I think anything that the supervisors can do to try and remedy that a little bit, it'll never be completely gone, but I think ethics and transparency are really important. I know we take it really seriously in our city with, campaign donations are, the maximum amount is $250. And, I just can't even imagine what they're dealing with over there, but we do see that there's a lot of corruption that goes on both in the city of LA and the county of LA. And so anything we can do to, rein that in is a good thing. I was a little confused with the elected county executive, but the more I've read about it and heard about it, and thank you for your questions, I do think that checks and balances, you can't really have the supervisors being all branches of government, so to speak. And so I think that that's going to be a good way. And I think that, I'm sure that you will be able to find a state senator and a state assembly member who will go to bat to try and make that term limits. So I'm not overly concerned about that. I just didn't understand why, the state gets to make that decision. But that's a whole nother thing. Accountability is so important. So I think that having somebody who's elected by the people will, they'll be accountable to the people. And that's what government is, and that's what we want. So with that said, I would like to support a letter of support from staff, and also that the mayor pro tem can vote in support of it at the COG meeting when and if it comes to the COG. But I did want to know, I did not defer to see if there's any public comment on this issue, and I apologize for that. I don't think there is, but I'm going to ask the city clerk. Are there any members of the public who wanted to speak on this?
No.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I'll now call for a motion and a second to approve the staff recommendations of one, that staff would send a letter of support to the supervisors, and that the mayor pro tem can reflect the support for at the COG meeting.
This is Deborah Klein Lopez. I'll make that motion.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester seconds.
Thank you. And I'll now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Anstead?
Aye.
Councilmember Klein Lopez?
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester?
Aye.
Mayor Buckley Weber?
Aye.
And Mayor Buckley Weber, you have approval 5-0.
Thank you. And again, thank you for coming tonight. We know it's a long drive. We know you had to be on the 101. I hope you enjoyed going under the wildlife crossing. And thank you. We really appreciate it. We wouldn't have been able to necessarily answer those questions amongst ourselves. So thank you. We appreciate it. So drive safely. Next, we're going to now go to council and staff comments. Are there any comments from staff? Oh, Mr. Hamburger.
I know it's not very often, but every once in a while. No,
Twice in one night.
I know you have all met, but just an introduction for a community. Mary Dad in the back, our new communications manager, has joined us. So, we're on a month now, right? We're getting close. Yeah, so we've been here a month, but she's been doing a great job for us, and we continue to look forward to all the things she's going to do for us. But I just want to introduce her to the community.
Thank you so much. And Mary, you take great pictures, so keep it up. It's really nice. I love that. Any other comments from staff? Oh, Amy Jones-Brink.
Sorry. Thank you.
it.
I just wanted to remind the community that summer sadly is coming to a slow close for community services. School starts next week. The summer beach bus will end on Friday, so if you want to get down to Zuma, this week is it. And then we have our last summer concerts in the park. We've had an amazing series, a lot of great shows, but this Sunday at 6 o'clock at Chumash Park, the Yacht Groove will close us out for the summer. And as we prepare to transition to fall for Reyes Adobe Days, the link for Creek Cleanup, which is Saturday, September 14th, is on the website, and we're already getting sign-ups. So just a couple of reminders for our community. Thank you.
That's wonderful. And please do sign up for Clean Up the Creek. It's such a great activity, and it makes you feel so good. You go out there in the morning and you pick up all that trash, and we have a clean creek for a year. So, and thanks to Ben Suber for organizing it again this year. With that, are there any comments from the City Council? Councilmember Anstead. Mayor Pro Tem.
I would just like to draw attention to the fact that our finance department received the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and finance reporting. They received a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for fiscal year 2022-2023, and we expect them to do the same next year.
100%, yes.
So thank you so much.
Great job. Councilmember Klein Lopez?
I just wanted to thank our Community Services Department for what was really a spectacular summer. I mean, we hit a lot of highs this summer. You know, we had our drone show, which was so successful and brought people from all over the community, and people loved it, and they just want more of it. And then I've never seen anything like last week or week before last Taylor Swift cover band. That was crazy, and I think it was the biggest attendance we've ever had on with that wasn't maybe fireworks or drone, and to see all the kids just crushing the stage and making bracelets, and I mean, it was just such a success. So I want to thank you for always thinking outside the box, and you know, always keeping it on our toes, and of course always being the first to do these things. We were the first drone show. We were the first to have the blank space band, and you know, the others can do it. They're fine. But I love being the first. And there's risk of being first, right? Because you handle it so great. And so I just want to say thank you. It was a great summer, and you did a great job.
Councilmember Wolf.
Yeah, I was going to mention about the finance team, and Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester, thank you for commenting that. And I haven't made it to all the concerts this summer, but I know I've heard how great it's been, and I know how hard you guys work, and congratulations on a really successful and meaningful summer. I know it's so much work, so thank you guys. I do want to compliment our new communications manager. I couldn't believe we've had 2 earthquakes. And within like 3 minutes of the earthquakes, the city has had notifications already on on all of our platforms, and I was extremely impressed by that, and appreciate the work that you're putting in, and just for us to continue to be vigilant we're coming upon fire season. The San Andreas Fault is very active right now, and so for us to continue to be vigilant and ready and prepared, and on top of it, to get the information out to our residents. So thank you and great work.
Great, thank you. I don't have a lot to add other than congratulations on a great summer. I know it was particularly difficult this year, because I saw you guys sweating. One, it was so hot, and you guys were having to move things and chairs and the whole thing. I mean, you really go, that extra mile that needs to be done. So thank you for everything you do. I'll look forward to the fall, and congratulations to our finance team. And I think that's about it. We've got a lot. I know it's sad that summer's ending, but believe me, there is plenty of stuff coming up in October and November, and it'll all be on social media. So with that, I'll now announce that the next regular City Council meeting is scheduled for 6 p.m. on Wednesday, August 28th, 2024, in the council chambers of the Civic Center, located at 30001 Ladyface Court, Agoura Hills, California. This meeting is now adjourned.